Welcome to this week's meeting of the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley. Our purpose of our club is for education, entrepreneurship, and innovation. And we use technology to further our goals. We have a special meeting this week, and what we're trying to do with this meeting is to motivate our members to attend the RI annual convention, which is going to be held in Hamburg, Germany this year. And we have two members from the Public Relations Committee for the convention as our guest speakers. And the first one is Florian Wackerman, and the second is Philip Frankel. And I hope I pronounced your names correctly. If I don't, please forgive me. Now, I would ask and turn this meeting over to Florian and Philip for their presentation.
Perfect. Great. Thanks so much, Roger. So now I just share my screen again, right?
Yes.
Perfect. So let's see if that works. I hope that now you can see the presentation first slide. Yeah, so we're very excited to be with you today and to be able to inspire you guys about coming to Hamburg, about coming to a Rotary International Convention, and especially about coming to Europe and attending this convention in 2019. So that's what we're going to focus on during the presentation, is a little bit of why it is interesting, exciting, and inspiring to come to a convention, and what Hamburg has to offer, what makes Hamburg special, and what makes Hamburg a fascinating and fantastic city. So what we want to start with generally is that the convention, let's see if that works. Yeah. That the convention is always an event where the whole world is coming together. And this whole world saying a word is not just something that we put out there, but we have registrations from more than 174 countries. And as you can see on that slide, it's from everywhere in the world. And it's actually, that slide is not even complete, because there are always also attendees from Antarctica participating in it, and Antarctica isn't even shown on that map. So that's why at a convention, we can meet people from all around the world doing the same things as we do in our clubs and in their own cultures. And I would say you guys at the E-Club of Silicon Valley are probably a wonderful example of how you bring together many different regions and cultures of the world. And that's what Rotary does all around the globe. And while a meeting in Buenos Aires is different from a meeting in Hamburg, the basic values of the clubs are identical. And so that's what we can learn and see at the convention, of how these Rotarian ideals are put into practice all around this globe. And from our perspective, coming to Hamburg is a unique experience. Why? Because there has been only one convention so far in Germany. That was in 1987 in Munich. And that's why coming to Germany for a convention is something that is not that often in a lifetime of every Rotarian. And the last 5 conventions have been outside of Europe. And the next 6 conventions will be outside of Europe again. So if you have ever dreamt of having a great excuse of coming to Europe, there it is. The convention in Hamburg where we're very excited to welcome everyone, and especially you guys from the E-Club of Silicon Valley, to the big port city. And when we talk about port city, then that should be close to the ocean, right? And so when you see this map of Germany in the heart of Europe, then Hamburg should be close to the sea. Now, the great thing, and why Philip and I are sharing this presentation together, is because he is much more an expert on Hamburg than me, because I'm coming, and I don't know if you can see my mouse.
I can.
You can? Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's where I'm from. I'm from the south in Munich. And so Hamburg, as a port city, should be close to the ocean somewhere.
Yes. So if you move up with your mouse, I can show you where Hamburg is. Go a little bit up, a little bit up, a little bit up, a little bit up. And I think you're almost there. So now you just arrived in Hamburg. And I've been, it's my pleasure to help Flo a little bit because I'm actually located in Hamburg right now. And Flo is in Munich. And we've been working on the host organizing committee almost for, I would say, 2.5 years now. We've known each other since through Road Track for, I would say, almost 8 years, which is a really, really long time. And so I'm really happy to tell you a little bit about Hamburg.
Yeah, so what we can do is from this site of Hamburg, you probably ask yourself, how can this have a big harbor? And so that's where Hamburg is located. This river that you can see here is called Elbe. The Elbe starts in the Czech Republic. So maybe we'll go back one picture again. It starts over here in the Czech Republic, then goes through Dresden, over all across the country, and then into Hamburg. I know this is recorded, so I don't want to have a wrong city.
It's okay.
So you have the Elbe all across the country, and then in Hamburg, it widens and can host or harbor the big ocean ships that then cross the whole globe. And when you then look at the city center, that's also where the convention is going to be. So we have the central station over here, and we have the trade fair where we have the convention up here. So this whole area from here down to the water, over with the water, and up here, it's pretty much the city center. So it's very conveniently located, very walkable.
Yes, and if you think of the uniqueness from convention cities in the past, this one is a really small city in comparison. So you have everything very close. So you can almost walk everywhere, which is very unusual. You also have public transport that you can use during your stay, and it will be included also in the badge when you're coming for the convention in Hamburg. So when you pick up your badge, you can use all our public transport for the whole time you're here.
And so for all those statistics fans, Hamburg has 1.8 million inhabitants, which makes it the largest city in Europe when you take out the capitals. So it is a very important city in Europe. It is one that is in the center or in the heart of Europe. And interestingly enough, in Germany, it's a state by itself. So it's a little bit comparable to Washington, D.C., even though I guess D.C. doesn't have a status exactly like a state. In Germany, it is entirely comparable to a state like Bavaria or Saxony. And it was historically part of the Hanseatic League, which is a federation of trade cities along the North Sea and the Baltic Sea. And so in the medieval ages, Hamburg was one of the most influential cities that we had within Europe. And so now, because maps are wonderful to look at, but of course it's more fun to see some pictures, we brought you some pictures of important parts of Hamburg. So one thing is the Hamburg Harbor, which is the third largest harbor in Europe, and it's the largest sea harbor in Germany, which is quite surprising knowing that Hamburg is about 100 kilometers. So that's about 60 miles away from the ocean itself. How are we in time, Roger? Because I do have some pictures that I can show of the Hamburg Harbor. But I don't know if we're...
Just go right ahead.
Okay, perfect. So what we prepared are some pictures that Wikipedia offers of the Hamburg Harbor, because like this we have all the property rights or image rights, try to respect those. You can see that it's in the middle of the city. You have the large container terminals, and what we have here is a picture from 1910, where even back in those days, this was a fully fully developed harbor with tons of possibilities where you could tie your boats to in order to charge and decharge all kinds of trading materials that were going out across the world. And then I picked a third picture, which really shows that it's a sea harbor, it's on a river, and it's fully suited and equipped for large vessels, which is, for me, as someone coming from far away from the ocean, it's always fascinating to be at a river, seeing the whole world come in and out by boat. Then a second site that we wanted to show you is the Alster. Alster is also a river, but it feels much more like a lake in the middle of the city. So what you can see here is that big lake, and we do have a few pictures of that as well. Because it looks like a lake in the middle of the city, and when you look into it, then you have big hotels on the sides. You have lots of tourist locations, and actually down at the end of this picture where you can see those little flags, that's where we're going to have, during the convention, lots of promotion where we're trying to meet the people of Hamburg. So those who are not Rotarians, to show them as well what Rotary is doing around the world. And then it gets more and more urban with bridges that cross over it. And where you can see that this river goes through the city and is still able to host little sailboats, or just offer a site to relax and to chill while you're inside a large million people city. And then we have a third site that we want to highlight, which is the Speicherstadt. And that's called it's like a warehouse district, and it's the largest warehouse district in the world. It's nowadays a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and since Hamburg had to, or was a trading point for goods and merchandise from all around the world, you had to store lots of it. And we have some pictures of the warehouse district, which is kind of nice, and especially there's been lots of renovation going on in the last year, so seeing a site like this is something you will absolutely find while you're in Hamburg. And you can see how the Elbe River is going through it, and where you can see all these little houses that are often now used for offices and apartments that used to be warehouses where all kinds of trading goods were stored. And usually you have these little hooks up here where you can hoist up all kinds of goods that were on the ship, or lower them down into the ships. So Hamburg is a city that has a lot of culture to offer. It has a lot of history. It has a lot of music. So from the musicals that were there to the history around the Beatles, who started their career in Hamburg, all across through sports. So all those things that create friendship, you can find in Hamburg. And that's something that the convention is all about. The convention is about making new friends and refreshing old friendships. It's about inspiration, motivation. So all kinds of ideas you can take home with you. And it's always about knowledge and getting to know more about Rotary as an organization and the opportunities that we can have during our membership within our club, within our region, to make the world a better place and to make our club more exciting, to have fun as members. And since you guys are very well experienced convention goers, we'll probably go over those slides a little faster, because it is a wonderful opportunity to refresh friendships, build new ones by meeting friends from around the world from the last years that you have gotten to know before, or by making new friends just by chance, or because you share similar interests and similar ideas. And so that's, for example, a picture where people from several continents met. But with your club, you have several continents represented anyway. And then you can also find inspiration and motivation. A convention is usually a place where you meet people and you hear people who you don't hear usually. So like the General Secretary of the United Nations, like the Canadian Prime Minister, like members of the royal family of England, like the daughter of Martin Luther King Jr. There are so many people who inspire us, and where it's fascinating to be in the same room with them on the same level. But also, you get inspiring and entertaining performances, which go all the way from classical music to modern dance, or, for example, in South Korea, we had Gangnam Style Psy with us. And you get a lot of inspiration and motivation from really heartwarming stories, breathtaking projects. It's amazing what people can achieve when they set their heart for it. And during those conventions, you will always hear and see projects that are really, really fascinating, done by people like you and I. And last but not least, you learn new things, and probably you know the speaker in this presentation, because that was from a workshop that Midi had done. We will have in Hamburg as well approximately 100 breakout sessions with a variety of topics. Those breakout sessions are done and held by Rotarians like you and I. So it's really knowledge that is within the organization that is transmitted to everyone. And of course, during those breakout sessions, we can exchange with fellow Rotarians who have similar wants and needs. And that's why we, of course, want you to register. We want you to be excited to come to Hamburg, join us. There's still the special price of $495 US, which is available through March 31st. So if you consider going, register before that, because prices go up $100 afterwards. And if you can't go for some reason, cancellation fee is only $50. So it's very well worth registering now. And to have some statistics of how many people are coming, if I'm not mistaken, you're from the District 5170. And so there's 156 participants right now from your district. And we have worldwide 32,240 participants right now, which is really a tremendous number. And we're so, so, so thankful and excited that people from every corner of the world are coming. And so 24,000 of those are paid registrations so far. There are a lot of people who register and then have to wait if they will have their visa for the European Union. And so that's why there's this large discrepancy. And of course, we would be very interested to hear how many Rotarians from the E-Club of Silicon Valley are registered. I don't know if you guys know. But so, probably that would be fun. I don't know if there's a comment section when everyone is watching the video. Maybe they can comment underneath if they're coming, if they're planning on coming, or if they are unfortunately doing something different. And I don't think we'll accept any other excuses than weddings or something like that. And that kind of brings us to an end. We also have this website, the RIC2019hamburg.org website, which is from the host organizing committee, the idea to highlight what the city has to offer, to highlight a little bit of the program and of the side events. Because of course we're offering lots of opportunities to get to know Hamburg, to get to know the Germans, and to have a great time around the convention. From events that start before it, so we have trips pretty much all across Europe that end in Hamburg for all kinds of interests. We have events during the nights of all the convention days. And we have tons of people excited to welcome all of you in Hamburg.
Thank you very much, Florian and Philip. That was just excellent.
Yes,
Thanks.
we're opening to questions. So.
Can you change your share screen, please?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That was just excellent. Thank you very much. Before Rebecca and Chuck come back on, one question for you. Is the opera season on during the convention? Is where you wondered if they wanted to could go to go to the opera?
There is there is a concert in the Elbe Philharmonic Hall, so which is the new opera hall. Those two concerts actually that we have organized are already sold out. But there might be some other evenings where there are still tickets available, which of course then is without the Rotarians. Yeah, so those who are interested in going to the Philharmonic Hall should register very fast.
Okay. Rebecca.
And if there will be tickets available, we will let you know.
Okay. Rebecca, would you like to ask some questions?
I would. So I've been to 4 Rotary International conventions and they are amazing. Sadly, I can't make it to Hamburg because, yes, I have a wedding that I need to attend in Washington, D.C. And so I'm curious to understand, as someone who can't make it to Hamburg, are there opportunities to, or what are the opportunities to engage remotely?
Well, that's a really good question. There was a bird telling us the other day that they're streaming this live. I think that's the first convention that they're wanting to do this. But we do have to wait for the final announcement from RI. So,
well, once you know, keep me posted.
it looks good. Yeah, we'll keep you posted.
Chuck, do you have any questions? He says he's good.
Chuck, this is so awesome that you're bringing your daughter there's actually one thing that we didn't put into the presentation, but which is also in this Speicherstadt area, so in the warehouse district, which is the miniature wonderland, and it's a whole world in small. They started off with these small trains and building the city of Hamburg after it, and then an alpine area, and then they started going crazy around it. It's really a fantastic, like a museum, but fun for kids. So
also for adults. I've just been there a couple of weeks ago, and it's really amazing. I haven't been there in 8 years, but it was really tremendous to see how big it has grown. It's actually the biggest tourist attraction we have in Hamburg. Many people haven't heard about it, but I can highly recommend it for all ages. There will be free tickets if you follow us on Facebook. I don't know if I'm allowed to tell this yet. They're coming up soon.
Thank both of you. Is there any other questions? At the bottom of this meeting is a comment section, and would you please, in the comments, make a comment as to whether or not you are attending the convention in Hamburg. It sounds like it's going to be a very interesting and exciting time. And I have been to Hamburg on several occasions, and I can tell you that you will have a good time. If you are a visitor to this to the club, or if you're a member, please fill in the attendance form. And as a visitor, if you fill in your correct email address, you will receive from our club secretary a receipt to take to your club secretary as a makeup. So as is our practice, we would like to end up with Philip and Florian to give us their last word.
Philip, do you want to go?
Well, I'll start then. I mean, I didn't have much to say this evening, or for you, it's probably the morning. I'm really happy to see, hopefully, most of you in Hamburg. I have already met many of you, and there's some that can't make it, but that's fine. And the last thing I want to say is this is actually going to be my 5th convention. If someone would have asked me, I would say 6 or 7 years ago, if I would be part of the host organizing committee as a chair, organizing this really big event and making all this possible, I would have said no. And now I'm in the middle. We have like 3 months to go, and I'm really happy to meet all of you and friends back in Hamburg when you come here. So see you there.
Okay, and thank you both for being our speakers today, and you have a great evening and take care.
Thanks so much. It was wonderful being with you guys.